لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له من يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما أرسلنا من قبلك إلا رجالا نوحي عليهم فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون. Now as we approach or are approaching the end of 2018, we're only 1 week away. The other day I had to ask myself the question that have I achieved that what I set out to achieve this year? You see, about 12 months ago I wanted to do certain things in 2018. Some of them I've done, some of them perhaps not so much. And I'm hoping there are people in the masjid today that have a similar mindset, people of ambition. And it doesn't have to be necessarily religious ambitions, but even dunya ambitions, as long as they're halal, alhamdulillah. For example, we may have some businessmen in here, or employees. Perhaps you wanted a greater turnover, or you wanted a pay rise. Perhaps we have some students in here. I see a lot of youngsters, mashallah. Maybe the students here wanted to gain some qualifications or do better in their studies. Perhaps we have some athletes in here, people into their health and fitness. Maybe they want to gain more strength, more muscle, lose body fat. All of them are perfectly fine. These targets are perfectly valid. And we should be people who want to make progress, whether it's any of the three examples I've made, or whether it's to do with the deen itself. But how many of us in this room actually set out to monitor their spiritual progress? Ask yourself this. This is a rhetorical question. I don't want an answer. How many of us actually think in 2019, I want to go from here to here spiritually? It's a perfectly valid question. Because your health, your income, your intellect, they're all temporal. But the spirit's eternal. Doesn't it make sense to plan for the soul? Doesn't it make sense to plan for the spirit? I mean, statistically, we know that average in this country, people live to about 70, 75 years. This as well. So we know, on average, people live until about 70 to 75 years old. So your body, in time, will decay. Your finances can go up and down, we know this. And we also know the intellect can vary. But after 70, 75 years, it's gone, whilst the soul is eternal. Now I'm going to go back to the three examples I've used already. Financial success, physical success, and intellectual success. To be intellectually successful, who do we turn to? We turn to the academics, the professors, the doctors, those at the top of the game. And that makes sense. I mean, I'm a high school teacher and people come to me to learn about my subject, which makes sense. The businessmen amongst us, perhaps you look at successful businessmen and you try to adopt their strategies, their techniques, what's the latest research, and you do that because it makes sense. You go to the people at the top of your game. If you're an athlete, if you're into health and fitness, perhaps you look at someone in your sport. If you're a martial artist, for example, Khabib, this year he dominated the UFC again, maybe you look up to him, and that makes sense. Now, he's a warrior in the ring. So I want to turn to a spiritual warrior, someone at the top of the game of the spiritual world. And we're not talking necessarily about someone who's mastered the Al-Tajweed, Aqidah, Hadith, all these things are all outer sciences of Islam, which we need. I'm not denying that. But I'm talking about just the spirit, the inner sciences. Who's at the top of that game? Doesn't it make sense to go to them if you want to make spiritual progress? See, the term, or the coin term I've used of spiritual warrior is nothing new. In fact, Islam is full of historical spiritual warriors. I'm going to go back to the original spiritual warrior, the one and only, none other than our Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the greatest spiritual warrior of all. He trained a whole generation who we are known now as the Sahaba. But you look at the biography of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, look at the Sahaba, what were they doing before the Battle of Badr, before the Battle of Uhud, before the Battle of the Khandaq, all these physical battles, prior to that, they were spiritual warriors. Before they were physical warriors on the battlefield, they were spiritual warriors. They were being taught privately in secrecy in the early days of Islam. They were taught how to purify the souls. No wonder they were so successful when it came to the physical battle, because the spiritual battle was far greater. So much so, I believe it was Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu, once the battle had finished, and he just stepped away from the battlefield, and he said, now the real struggle begins. Physical battles are easy compared to the struggle of the self. You see, I've heard all sorts of things where people say money is the root of all evil, the devil's the root of all evil. No, it's not. If money is the root of all evil, there are people in this room I know who are financially very successful. They're not evil. They do good things with their money. In fact, I heard someone, 2003 I think it was, he said, anyone who says to you money is the root of all evil has none. So forget that, that's out the window. Okay, the devil. Well, if the devil's the root of all evil, Satan, Iblis, if he's the root of all evil, why did he get kicked out of heaven in the first place? It doesn't make sense. This is an individual who spent, I think, approximately 70,000 years in worship to Allah Ta'ala. 70,000 years. All of us in this masjid combined cannot accomplish that. Everyone watching online around the world combined cannot accomplish that. 70,000 years in worship, and yet he was kicked out of heaven. In fact, the Mashaykh have taught us that there's not a single place on the face of planet Earth that he did not bow down in prostration to his Lord. Not a single place. We're never going to accomplish that. And yet he was kicked out of heaven. Why? Can anyone here perhaps suggest, what's a greater enemy than the devil himself? Anyone? Any offers? Sorry? The nafs. Perfect answer. The nafs, the ego, the caprice, the base desires. The devil himself was so arrogant that he could not fulfill the command of bowing down to Hazrat Adam alayhi salam. After 70,000 years of worship, he was still arrogant. Even he couldn't do this. And yet, human beings like Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu, it was said that the Messenger said along the lines of, the devil is scared of Umar's shadow. His shadow, the devil is scared of. So much so that when Umar takes one road, the devil has no choice but to take another road. He's that scared of him. He can't even stand in front of him, never mind go toe to toe. Point being, if you can conquer the nafs, if you can learn how to beat the nafs, everything else is easy. Some people, I watched a video before I came here about the Dajjal. And some people do say to me, oh, he's the biggest threat. I said, no, he's not. He's not even here right now. You may never see him in our lives. Allah Ta'ala knows, God knows best. The fact is, the ego is here right now in this room, in this masjid. People watching online, they're not with you right now. They're probably telling you, this doesn't apply to me. That's how clever the nafs is. Anyway, so to conquer such a big enemy, someone bigger than the devil himself, we turn to a real warrior. Why a warrior? Well, if you look in the English dictionary, what's the definition of a warrior? In the Collins English Dictionary, it's someone who is experienced in the art of warfare, or someone who is battling an enemy. It could be an enemy, it could be an ideology. In this case, it's the ego. So when I go to someone, I want to go to someone at the top of the game, the cream of the crop, the best of the best. And over the years, from the Sahaba, we have many people in our history who were spiritual warriors. After the Taba, they raised and trained up a generation of Tabi'in, and so forth and so forth. The awliya, such as Hadrat Abdul Qadir Jilani, rahmatullah alayh, such as legends, such as Sayyid Abdul Aziz Tabagh, rahmatullah alayh. And even today, we have spiritual warriors, alive, breathing, walking, talking. In fact, one of them couldn't be here today, unfortunately. They're currently in Medina Sharif doing pilgrimage. So these warriors do exist, but they are hard to find. But for me, and hopefully now for you, it should make sense. If you want to raise your game, if you want to really elevate yourself in the spiritual world, you need to go to someone who's a master at this. Someone who is experienced in the art of warfare, the art of spiritual warfare. They may not call it this. They actually call it the art of self, the purification of the self. And there's a course they have put down, pen to paper, to make it easy for the likes of me and you. I mean, if you think about even, let's say, Salahuddin Ayyubi, we all know of his accomplishments on the battlefield, but read his history, read his biography. Where was he before that? He is a product of the madrasa system. So before he stepped foot on the battlefield, he was trained up spiritually in the deen. He knew what he was doing before he got to the battlefield. There's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, a lot of crazies out there who think it's all about going overseas and doing jihad and doing all sorts of crazy things in the name of Islam. Unfortunately, we know who they are. You don't need me to tell you, you know who they are. So the fact of the matter is, if we're going to try to succeed in the dunya, which is fine, let's just think big. Don't think small. Don't plan for the next 30, 40 years max. No, think big. And it's possible to do both. It's possible to plan for the dunya and the akhirah. And people have proven this time and time again. You see, even Sun Tzu, who wrote the Art of War, he talks about such an enemy. He says, don't depend on the enemy not coming. Depend rather on being ready for him to arrive. And this is Sun Tzu, not even a Muslim, and he understood the value of being prepared for war. No matter what the war is, in this case, this is a spiritual war we're fighting. And I'm hoping 2019 is the year that's going to raise your game spiritually. I mean, even Maulana Rumi, he says that we all fight a fierce war within. What's the point of fighting others? Meaning we should all be so occupied in fighting our own nafs on a daily basis. Don't worry about other people. Let them deal with their own battles, their own demons, their own problems. Because if they think like you, we won't have any problems. If we're all conquering ourselves, our base desires, don't worry about anything else for now. And that's Rumi saying that. Now I'm going to just mention a few qualities of a real spiritual warrior. And if you read the seerah, if you read the biographies of all the greats, if you read the biographies of the awliya, you will find certain characteristics, certain traits, certain attributes that manifest themselves and they come across. I mean, anyone from India, Pakistan or that subcontinent, we all know these beer sahibs, and there are many charlatans out there, many fakes. But I think it was yourself, you put a really nice justification on Facebook that the fact that there are fakes must automatically mean there must be a genuine version somewhere, a genuine article, as we say. Just like you go down to Bernie Road, you see loads of fake goods. You go further down the road, city centre, you'll find real products, real, things of quality. I'm not promoting fashion brand design wear, by the way. Anyway, no, but if there are fakes out there, which there are, we can't deny this, the Muslims have these people, but there are the real deal out there. You just have to find them. For me personally, it took me almost 30 years to find this person, this spiritual warrior. I'm not saying there's only one. No, of course not. But in my locality, alhamdulillah, I came across one, and I ain't ever letting go. So one of the first things you'll notice in them, and they will pass this on, is the level of certainty in them, the level of certainty about the deen. And this is something they pass on, and you're probably thinking, what's certainty got to do with anything? You see, certainty is one of those that it can make or break you. If you're not certain about your own belief system, about what you believe in, why you pray, etc., this is something that the devil can take you out of the fold of Islam. In fact, last week, I can't recall who, someone sent me on WhatsApp, I think it was Bradford somewhere, there's a Muslim brother, he left the deen and became a Christian, and perhaps you've seen the video. Whether it's true or not, I don't even know. But this is what uncertainty can do to a person. And unfortunately, we're living in such a time where it's towards the end of time, we're living in times of confusion. People are confused. There's a lot of stuff out there, we don't know what's the truth from the falsehood and vice versa. The one thing the spiritual warrior will do, he will restore your confidence, your certainty. You ask them something about the deen, they will give you a precise answer. You spend long enough with them, you sit with them at their feet with humility, and you will learn more and more. And there are brothers here who can testify to that. There are brothers here who have spent more time with the likes of Sheikh Ahmad Dabar, more time than me. The little time I spent with him, I can tell you now, I walk away not just happy, not just satisfied, more certain about my own beliefs. One of the first things that they do is they prepare you for 7 primary opponents. There are 7 opponents we all need to take on at some point in our lives, or we should do anyway. And they're not people we face, they're actually 7 organs that they teach you about. The 7 organs, can anyone just tell anyone else what's the 7 organs I'm referring to? What are the 7 key organs that we need to defeat? Yes?
The hands, the eyes, the ears, the tongue, stomach.
Yeah.
And the subtle.
Okay, mashallah, well done. Just to repeat for the young brother, mashallah, well done by the way. The 7 organs, the 7 key opponents we need to learn to defeat. Okay, the eyes, the hands, the ears, the tongue, the genitals, the feet, and the stomach. 7 opponents we need to learn to defeat. And you're thinking, what is this guy on about? Right? Let's think of it this way. If any one of us was to go outside right now, and I know we're in Oldham, and I'm not from Oldham by the way, and I mean no disrespect to people from Oldham, but if you go out, there are certain parts of Oldham, we know if we were to go the way we are, we may get in trouble from people from a different ethnic background, shall we say. If you were to pick a fight, or they pick a fight with you, one-on-one, you'd have a good chance of winning. Let's say 50-50, let's just be fair. If the 2 people come towards you and start kicking off with you, your chances are less. 3 people come in, it's not looking good. 7 people come in, you're going to get chumped. Let's be honest. Statistically, unless you're really hard, then I'm not going to mess with you anyway. But if 7 people approach you and attack you, it's not looking good, is it? Well, these 7 organs can destroy you much more than any human can destroy you. I'll give you an example. Earlier this year, we read about in the news these big Hollywood moguls, Harvey Weinstein. He's destroyed for life because he could not control the desires of their genitals. There are people out there, they say the wrong thing with the tongue and then they're in a lot of trouble. Either they're locked up for life or they're taken to court. I mean, these are extreme examples, but I'm just giving you a scenario here. And these are real life scenarios that we see in the media. There are people out there that are physically violent people. There are unfortunately brothers out there that are abusive to their wives. They beat their wives. Maybe there are women out there that beat their husbands. I don't know. There might be a woman out there who can knock a husband out with one punch. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, these organs can get you in so much trouble, potentially. So, the spiritual master teaches you, the spiritual warrior teaches you how to defeat one opponent one by one until you can defeat all 7 together. And it's not easy, I'll be honest. Anyone who's done this course, it's not easy. It takes time. It takes a lot of effort. It won't cost you a penny though. There's no dotted line to sign. You're not signing your life away, no. But it works. You see, in the age of social media, we get all these nice memos, these memes, and these messages on WhatsApp and these beautiful Quranic ayat and hadith. I get them every day, hadith of the day, and they're all good and well. Alhamdulillah, they're all very good. But the question is, how do you manifest that on a daily basis? How? How do you stop backbiting? You don't need to be a Muslim to know you don't need to backbite. In fact, they don't even call it backbite anymore, they call it gossip. They sugarcoat it. It's not even backbiting, it's, in Urdu, call it gupshup. No, call a spade, it's backbiting. But the question is, how do you stop it? And that's a tricky question to answer. Well, this is one solution. The way the spiritual warrior teaches you is one solution, and for me, I know it's a solution that works. Alhamdulillah, it does work. Even Napoleon, anyone who reads history or is a historian here, I don't know if Brother Shaban's here. Is he here, Shaban? Anyway, I have a historian, Brother Shaban, and if you read about Napoleon, he's a French general, he's a legend in the books of the French, and even he said, death is nothing, dying, the physical death is nothing, but to live defeated is to die every day. I'll say that again. He said, death is nothing, but to live defeated is to die every day. Meaning, one day we're all going to die, that's a fact. No one can deny that. But a person can die every day if they fall victim to these base desires. If they can't control their tongue, you can be defeated all the time, day by day. But the spiritual warrior comes in and he teaches you how to make each day a victory. That's what they do, believe it or not. Every day can be a victory. Don't worry about the physical death, that's going to happen. I'm talking about here and now. I'm talking about the last week of 2018. I'm talking about 2019. Every day can be a victory, potentially. Even Shakespeare said something in Julius Caesar. Shakespeare said that cowards die many times before the deaths. The valiant never taste death but once. And that's Shakespeare talking. Not even a Muslim, and even he understood the value of controlling yourself, and act and live within the limitations. I mean, your organs can do good and bad, we know this, but how about we make 2019 the year that we control our organs and they don't control us? Look at the stomach, for example. How many people suffer from overeating, excessive eating, eating too much meat, eating or drinking the wrong things? I'm not going to go into the details, but all these problems, if you look at any problem in the media, whether it's of an individual or a group, you strip away the politics, strip away the glamour of the media, it all boils down to one of these 7 organs. I'm telling you now, you go, next time you watch the news, ask yourself, right, that problem there, that news person I just mentioned, which organ is that related to? And I guarantee you will find it comes down to one of these organs. Another thing the spiritual warrior will teach you and you will get from them is their level of sincerity. They're incredibly sincere in their actions and in their speech. They're very sincere. There's nothing fake about them, put it that way. I mean, I remember the first time I saw Sheikh Ahmed Dabagh, it was a gathering like this, and then shortly after I was able to speak to him privately because it's the first time I met them, and he was the same as he talked here as he is in private. I mean, there's nothing fake. You know, you get people, unfortunately, I'm not going to give any names, but when in the public image, they're like, oh, Assalamu alaikum, brother, how are you? And then in private, they're someone else completely. It's just, it doesn't add up. And nobody likes fake people. We like genuine people. I mean, even anything nowadays, unfortunately, there's a lot of fake people out there. You look at even health and fitness, you know, you go back 20, 30 years, anyone here old enough, gyms were, you know, they were far and few between. There weren't very many gyms around. And even then, people went there purely to physically be better. There was no real vanity involved besides the bodybuilders. And I used this example before where people, they were corrupted, even the pure things like looking after the health, looking after the body, fulfilling the rights of the body. I remember once I was looking and doing some research on health and nutrition, and this is bodybuilder doing weights, you know, with a dumbbell, as you do. And he's there on YouTube and he's there talking about his form and what he eats, and I was writing down some stuff that he was talking about, and all of a sudden he goes, yeah, doing curls for the girls. I'm thinking, see, eventually it came out. He maybe not he meant to say that, but it came out of him. So already he's displayed his lack of sincerity. Now, if we go to the gym or if we work out, we should be doing it for the intention of fulfilling the rights of the body. Why? So we can pray with ease. We're not in pain when we pray. The body has a right over us, and we should fulfill that right. But if you're doing it for vanity, then there's something wrong. There's a lack of sincerity there. The spiritual warrior, they are very sincere in everything they do. I mean, they are some of the most courageous people I've ever met. They're very courageable, very brave. They don't bow down to the social pressures. They don't bow down to peer pressure. There are 4 key things the spiritual warrior gives preference to. There's 4 key things. The first thing is they always give preference to Allah Ta'ala's command, always, above all things. The second thing they give preference to is to the prophetic way, the Sunnah, above all things. The third thing they do, they are extremely compassionate to all of creation. Muslims and non-Muslims, men and women, even animals and plants, they are extremely compassionate towards them. And the fourth thing, anyone tell me the fourth thing? There were 4 key things. In fact, Ustaz Siraj mentioned one before. Yeah? They are constantly aware of their Lord. Constantly. Always they are in remembrance of their Lord. In worship and out of worship. Now before we read the Isha Jamaat here, okay, we read the prayer, the congregational prayer, and there are people, perhaps you read the namaz outwardly beautifully, with the correct posture. If you read afterwards on your own with the correct tajweed, these things can happen. You can read the prayer perfectly, but inwardly, that's a different question. You should ask yourself, really, where's the heart when you pray? Because the prayer is where the heart is. Outwardly, a person can be reading the most beautiful prayer ever, whether they're leading the Jamaat or not on their own, but inwardly, that's a different question. That's a whole different ball game. The spiritual warrior will teach you how to be present in the prayer. I remember a few years ago, Sheikh Ahmed Dabagh gave a very good example of strength and courage. He said, listen, there are people out there who are physically very strong. There are people in here very strong, mashallah. They go to the gym, they can bench press 100 kilos. But the question is that real strength? That's the question to ask. Is that real strength if you can bench press 100 kilos? It's impressive, of course. Real strength lies that on days like this or nights like this in the morning when it's freezing cold, it's dark, do you have the strength to push that quilt off you for namaz? That's strength. Forget the 100 kilo in the gym. There are people out there that are too weak to push the quilt off them, get out of bed, do wuzu and read namaz. That's a fact. That's strength. The spiritual warrior gives you strength to follow the sunnah above all other ways. I'll give you an example. Living in England, people wear t-shirts, trousers, jeans, shirts, whatever. And there are many things out there that are completely jaized, they are permissible in Islam. As long as you cover your satr, that's fine. You can wear, nothing wrong with wearing a t-shirt or a shirt and trousers. But at the same time, why not get more of a reward? Why not dress according to the prophetic way in your own time? I mean, I can understand some people say, listen, the climate is such that we don't want to be picked on, we don't want to be made fun of, etc. And these things, okay, fair enough. But how about in your own time, at least in that time, in the comfort of your own home, or when you're out with your friends, why not get a reward and dress according to the prophetic way? You see this? You see this Mama Sharif I'm wearing here? I never used to wear this. I never used to wear it before I met Sheikh Ahmed Abag. But a lot of people here, mashallah, you're wearing doppies, that's fine. Some of you aren't, that's okay. We're not in prayer, but that's fine. But what I'm trying to get across is, you look at any king in the world, you look at the king of Jordan, let's say, a Muslim king. What do kings wear? It's not a trick question. What do kings wear? They wear crowns. Kings wear crowns. The Prophet ﷺ wore this. What does that say about the status of the Imam Sharif? He could have worn a crown. He could have worn the best crown that was ever made. But he didn't. Out of his wisdom, he wore this. Again, look at the King of Jordan. Afterwards, go and Google him. Look at who he is if you don't know who the King of Jordan is. You look at how he dresses. He's a Muslim. He's a king. No one can deny it. He wears, by Western standards, the best thing you can wear is a shirt, tie, suit, tailor-made. That's what he wears. And that's perfectly fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with it as such. But if kings wear shirt, tie, and suit, I'm saying to you, why dress like a king? Why dress like a king when you can dress like a prophet? Doesn't that make sense? I've got a suit at home, I wear it for work sometimes, fine. But for me, kings are there, that's fine. I want to dress like a prophet, the best prophet of all, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you see, the spiritual warrior gives you these gems of wisdom, and they give you the strength to go out and do this. Because I would never think in a million years, I'm going to go outside dressed like this. Never. Never. And anyone who knows me long enough, ask them what I was like before. You see, the spiritual warriors are incredibly disciplined. They are incredibly disciplined to the Lord and to the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, I've never seen anyone more disciplined than them, and they will pass that on. You spend enough time with them and ask the brothers here who have travelled with spiritual warriors abroad, you ask them how disciplined are they. They never go astray. And they only guide you, they're only there to benefit you. It's not about them. It's all about helping other people, Muslims and non-Muslims alike. That's all they think about. You see, even Charles Carlton, he's a non-Muslim, he doesn't talk about the Sunnah, but he says the power and the value of emulation. The value of emulation is such that he said, imitation is the highest form of flattery. Imitation is the highest form of flattery, meaning you want to please someone, you imitate them. If you want to please your Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you imitate him, you copy him, you emulate his way. Inwardly and outwardly preferably, but if you can't do it inwardly, at least do it outwardly. The spiritual warrior, they always emulate the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Always. Imam Haddad, he's another spiritual warrior. In his book, he said, the more you see a wali of Allah following the Sunnah, know that the closer they are to their Lord. You see, like I said, we're in an era, we are living in such times where there was a hadith mentioned along the lines of that anyone who follows the Sunnah toward the end of time, when things are difficult, anyone who sticks to the Sunnah will have the reward of many, many martyrs. And he said it will be so difficult, the time will come when adopting the sunnah, sticking to the sunnah would be more difficult than holding a hot coal in your hand. Now, I don't recommend anyone go out and be stupid enough to hold a hot coal in the hand. However, I'm sure you get the gist of it. And these are the times we're living in. So it's something worth thinking about. One thing the spiritual warrior will also do is they will slowly and surely remove the desire of the dunya and replace it. They will substitute it with the love of the akhirah. This is something they do. Don't ask me how. I don't know how to do it, but it works. Really. I mean, you look at, if you chase the dunya so much, it's going to cause problems. We know this. Too much money will cause problems. Too much name and fame will cause problems. You know, I think it was Ovid, the Roman writer, he said, abundance makes me poor. He was talking materialistically. He said, abundance makes me poor. I mean, the more material things I have, the more problems I have as well. The more headache you have. Even in 1996, you know, when I used to listen to music, and I don't by any means recommend anyone listen to this, but there was an artist by the name of Christopher Wallace, and he made a song, and he said the song was called More Money, More Problems. It's very true. More money, more problems. So if you actually remove that desire for money, for name and fame, and you substitute with something better, I guarantee you're going to be more at peace. And you look at the spiritual warrior, I've never, ever seen the likes of Sheikh Ahmed Dabbar or any spiritual warrior lose their cool. They are the coolest people you'll ever meet. They're always cool and calm. Even when I've done something wrong, and I make many mistakes, they still have the patience, they have the love, they have the forbearance to guide me, and they will tell you, listen, do this, try this. They will never lose their cool. That's the strength of the warrior. You see, to finish things off, there are many more spiritual warriors who I've not mentioned today, purely for time purposes, but this group of people, they're very unique. So much so that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned these in a separate hadith, a very unique hadith. And I'm going to just give you a English translation where the Prophet ﷺ said, a group of my nation will always exist, victoriously defending the truth, unharmed by those who oppose them, until the command of God arrives. These are the stars of the earth, the carriers of the trust, the deputies of the chosen one, and the heirs of the prophets. God is pleased with them, and they are well pleased with him. Even in the Holy Quran, the verse I began with, it mentions these people. And the translation of the verse that I used was, so ask the people of remembrance if you do not know. And if you're still not satisfied, I'll give you another verse, an English translation of the Holy Quran, where Allah Ta'ala mentions these spiritual warriors. He said, those are the faction of God. Indeed, the faction of God are those who will succeed. If I've said anything that's benefited you today, then all praise is due to Allah Ta'ala. Only the mistakes have been mine. Subhanaka wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.
Jazakallah to Ustad Sufyan has briefly presented to us, conveyed a beautiful message today, which one thing which he mentioned, which is very important, is that we are in a spiritual war. And this spiritual war is taking place within ourselves right now, and it's evident to all of us. All we have to do is reflect and see what difficulties we are facing, how we deal with people at home and how we deal with people out of the house. When we come to Salah, what are we like in the masjid? When we're out of the masjid, what are we like on Muslims? This is a spiritual war which is occurring right now, and we all know where we are in this place. But it's not sufficient just to say, yeah, I know there's a war going on. It's time to take action. Something has to be done in order to win this war. If you do not have the right tools, Shaitan is just going to wipe you. He's going to wipe you clean. And what does that mean? Is that when you're 6 feet deep under the ground, when Munkar and Nakir come to visit you, it will not be with flowers, it will not be with perfume, beautiful scents. it will be with rods of fire being penetrated into you. Now if this is how you want to end, well, carry on Shaitan's path. But if this isn't how you want your end, then there is training provided for people who are in this war. All of us are in this war. And if a person wants to know how they can get this training and learn how they can be successful in this war and train and have the correct tools, so when they are in battle they're confident and they know how to deal with Shaitan's deception, and when they're out there with people how to deal with them, then come to myself and I can explain to you this course and how it can benefit a person and how one can register themselves on this. Secondly, the teacher is currently on a trip, as he mentioned, to Umrah, and he's out there doing ziyarah of the Prophet ﷺ to Medina, and also for the purpose of Umrah to benefit themselves, but also benefiting others as well is their main reason to be there. And if a person wants to keep up to date with this to see where they're travelling, they can go online and see this. However, one thing's being in the battle, and in the Prophet ﷺ's time, the battle was done face to face. Now we have a new platform, and this platform is online on the internet. Many have heard of the phrase shape Google, because you can learn so much of it. But we need to use this to our advantage. And how do we use the internet? How can we be in this war and use the internet and use it in a right and full manner? Is on social media, on Facebook, they have a page called Ahmad Dabbar. And on this page, all you have to do is click one button, and that's just to like and share. And by doing this, you'll be rewarded with some of the good deeds of what they're doing also, by sharing it to others. Because this is the work of the prophets, that sharing the message, conveying. And now it's so easy, you don't have to give a bayan, you don't have to go out there to other people. Just on your phone, simply how I am, all you got to do is click share. Click share and like, and spread this message to others, so other people can be successful in this war. And finally, I would like to mention that this weekend we have a very unique and rare program. In fact, it's a retreat, a full weekend retreat. And this retreat is taking place in Maidenhead, London, and it's called Unveilings of the Unseen. Now this retreat, as Ustad Sufyan mentioned, think about certainty, that a person needs a certain level of certainty to have that confidence. And today, we have got so many temptations around us. Wherever we go, it's temptations, TV, media, everywhere, tempting us just to follow Shaitan. Wherever we go. Look, when I was a child, we'd read about the minor sign and major signs. Now, you can see them, you don't have to read about them. You can list them on your fingers. You can pull them out. Before it was difficult, you think, is this really going to happen? Is that really? But now you can say, look, it's exactly, we're near to the end of the times. And the closer we come to the end of the time, the more difficult it's going to become. So this particular retreat is here to help you increase your iman and your certainty. It strengthens your belief and faith by witnessing unseen. So, i.e., when you're praying, instead of just praying, you can pray in Medina spiritually. A person can be transferred spiritually and pray in Medina. Look, there's a hadith in it meaning that the mirage of believers is salah. So how do you do that? You'll be taught the method of how to do that, how to have that khushu, that peace. The word khushu, people are like, yes, I want khushu in my salah, I want khushu. But what does it mean to have khushu? What does it really mean? What is khushu? Well, here you'll be learning how to not just understand it, but practically feel that peace and that serenity that you're actually with your Lord when you're praying. You get to feel this. And also, in this retreat, you'd also get to visit other mashaykh that maybe you've never been visited before. And this, the whole sole purpose of this, is to give you that level of yaqeen, like solid rock in your heart. So with any of the temptations of dunya will not tempt you anymore once you've witnessed these unveilings. So if any of the brother wants any more information about this, please let me know. This is the following weekend. It starts on Friday the 28th till the 30th December, and it's starting at 4 p.m. and it's in Maidenhead. If you want more information, please come to myself and I can give you. But also, it's an amazing opportunity. I said, don't let it go. You've got Christmas holidays. It's for everyone. You don't know when you're going to get this opportunity again. A lot of people are free on that weekend. Do take that opportunity. Also, there'll be one coming up in this centre if you can't make it to the December one in Maidenhead because it's quite far. There'll be one in this centre, and that will be from the 18th to the 20th of January. So inshallah there will be a poster up there. So Jazakallah for attending. Now there will be a Zikr Majlis which will take place. So brothers could just once again rectify their intentions, stand up to get a bit of blood flow in your legs, just so you know you can stretch your legs a bit so you feel a bit more flexible. And after the Zikr Majlis, there will be a special dua, dua, and there will be food, so please not leave without eating. So everyone can sit back down, inshallah, start with the Zikr Majlis. So just try to rectify your attention, bring that presence back. Allah's watching me, Allah's with me, Allah's listening to me. To help one focus while they're doing the zikr, once you close the eyes and the brother recites the zikr, you recite with him, and you can imagine that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is gathering in a beautiful shining light. And when you're doing the zikr, you can imagine this light is descending upon your heart. And each time you mention it, this light is descending. And when you
This is on.
salam, imagine as though
This is for live.
This is like, okay. So is this like, is this on?
This will help one to focus more and gain more benefit.
So inshallah, with right mindset, Allah is watching me, Allah is hearing me, listening me, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with me. Talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with your heart. Tell Him what your needs are. Communicate with Him. There is no best listener than Him. And ask for His mercy, His forgiveness. Seek Him from Him. Ask Him from Him. And while involving your body and your tongue into zikr, involve your mind, your heart, and your spirit with the communication of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His remembrance. So this zikr is jahri zikr, this is a loud zikr. Do not shy. Forgive yourself. Forget yourself in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And imagine just it's you and Allah. That's it. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات والأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يعوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. صدق الله العظيم وصدق النبي الكريم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين. محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من قرب ومن نجم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. وقال عز وجل فاعلم أنه لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. لا إله إلا 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 الله. illallah, 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 la illallah, 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 la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha hasbi rabbi jallallah, ma fi qalbi ghayrullah, hasbi rabbi jallallah, ma fi qalbi ghayrullah, noore Muhammad sallallahu la ilaha illallah, 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 awwal wa akhir hai Allah, zahir wa batin hai Allah, hafiz wa nasir hai Allah, la ilaha la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, 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 Hasbi Rabbi Jallallah, ma fi qalbi ghayrullah, Noor Muhammad sallallahu la ilaha illallah la ilaha illallah. Allah, 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 Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu. Ya Nabi salam alayka, Ya Rasul salam alayka, Ya Habib salam alayka, salawatullah alayka. طلع البدر علينا من ثنيات الوداع وجب الشكر علينا ما دعا لله داعي يا نبي Ya Rasul salam alayka, Ya Habib salam alayka. तेरी आरज़ू में जीना, तेरी जुस्तजू में मरना, यही मेरी जिंदगी हो, यही मेरी बंदगी हो। या नबी सलाम अलैका, या रसूल सलाम अलैका, या हबीब सलाम अलैका। तेरी सुन्नतों पे चलना, तेरी सुन्नतों पे मरना, यही मेरी जिंदगी हो, यही मेरी बंदगी हो। या नबी सलाम अलैका, या रसूल सलाम अलैका, या हबीब सलाम अलैका। अलैका या नबी सलाम अलैका, या हबीब सलाम अलैका, या हबीब सलाम अलैका। सलावतुल्लाह अलैका। अस्तगफिरुल्लाह अल्लज़ी ला इलाहा इल्ला हू अल हय्युल क़य्यूम व अतूबु इलैहि। अस्तगफिरुल्लाह الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سبحان الله وبحمده سبحان الله العظيم استغفر الله يا رب لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك ولعظيم سلطانك يا رب لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك ولعظيم سلطانك اللهم لك الحمد اللهم يا رب لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك ولعظيم سلطانك سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزينة عرشه ومداد كلماته ومنتهى علمه اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم وصلي عليه या इलाहुल आलमीन या रहमर राहिमीन या मालिक यौमिद्दीन तेरी इस बारगाह में तेरे घर में इकट्ठा होना तेरी दी हुई तौफीक से, जैसा कि ब्रदर ने फरमाया कि ये अल्लाह ताला तेरी तरफ से गिफ्ट है, इनाम है। मौला करीम हमें इस इनाम का सही और हकीकी मानों में हकदार बना। या इलाहुल आलमीन या रहमर राहिमीन तेरे हबीब अलैहिस्सलाम की बारगाह में आज की मजलिस का सवाब, नात का, तिलावत का, नमाज का, जो रोज़ा दारान हैं उनका, जो ख़त्म है उसका, जितनी जुमला इबादत की गई हैं उन तमाम का सवाब तेरे हबीब अलैहिस्सलाम की बारगाह में पेश करते हैं, कबूल मंजूर फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के वसीला और जलीला से सैयदना आदम अलैहिस्सलाम से लेके आज के दिन तक जितने मर्द, औरतें, बच्चियाँ, बच्चे, जिन्नो इंस इस दुनिया से फ़ानी कर कूच कर गए हैं, उनकी अरवाह को इसाले सवाब करते हैं, कबूल मंजूर फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन ख़ुसूसन बिल ख़ुसूस अहल बैत अतहार आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की अज़वाज मुताहरात जो हमारी माएँ हैं, आपके यारान गार सैयदना अबू बकर व उमर, सैयदना उस्मान व अली रज़ियल्लाहु तआला अन्हु, सैयदना इमाम हसन व हुसैन और आपकी जो औलाद और जुमला तुरक के मशाइख की बारगाह में ख़ुसूसन बेख़ुसूस सैयदना अब्दुल अज़ीज़ दब्बाग़ हज़ूर, सैयदना गौस सकलैन शहनशाह बगदाद और फिर आपके वसीला और जलीला से जितने भी हाज़रीन यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं जिन्नो इंस में, उनके जो फौतशुदगान इस दुनिया से कूच कर गए, उनकी अरवाह को इसाले सवाब करते हैं कबूल मंजूर फरमा। ख़ुसूसन जिन अहबाब का नाम दिया गया है हाजी इस्माइल वल्ला भाई का, उनकी बारगाह में उनकी रूह को इसाले सवाब करते हैं। या इलाहुल आलमीन उनके दर्जात को बुलंद फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन उनकी फ़ैमिली को सब्र जमील अता फरमा। जिन दोस्तों ने लंगर में हिस्सा डाला उनका हिस्सा डालना कबूल मंजूर फरमा। उनके रिश्तेदार मरहूमीन की रूहों को इसाले सवाब करते हैं कबूल मंजूर फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन हमें जिन्होंने तेरा रास्ता बताया उनकी बारगाह में इस सवाल इस सलाम को पेश करते हैं, हमारा सलाम उन तक पहुँचा। मौला करीम उनके दर्जात को बुलंद फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन हमारा सलाम तमाम अम्बिया, तमाम मौलिया, तमाम अहले बैत अतहार, तमाम मलाइका की बारगाहों में पेश करते हैं, कबूल मंजूर फरमा, उन तक हमारा सलाम पहुँचा। या इलाहुल आलमीन या अरहमर राहिमीन उनके मज़ीद दर्जात को बुलंद फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन हमें तेरे हबीब अलैहिस्सलाम की सुन्नतों के ऊपर चलने वाला बना दे। या इलाहुल आलमीन अपने हबीब अलैहिस्सलाम के रास्ते में, जैसा कि भाई ने फरमाया, वॉरियर बना दे। आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की उम्मत को दावत देने वाला बना दे। आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की उम्मत को गमों से, फ़िक्रों से, परेशानियों से, तकलीफ़ों से निकालने वाला बना दे। किसी के दुख देख के उसके काम आने वाला बना दे। किसी की खुशी देख के उसकी खुशी में शरीक होने वाला बना दे। या इलाहुल आलमीन वो भाई जो कि बीमार हैं उनकी सेहतयाबी के लिए दुआ करते हैं, कबूल मंजूर फरमा। खुसूसन जिनका नाम दिया गया है उनके लिए दुआ करते हैं, कबूल मंजूर फरमा। व आखिरु दावाना अनिल हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन वस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला अशरफिल अंबिया वल मुरसलीन अम्मा बाद सय्यदना व अला आलिहि व अस्हाबिहि व औलादिहि व अज़वाजिहि व ज़ुर्रियतिहि व अहलिल बैतिहि व बारिक व सल्लम व सल्ली अलैहि आमीन बिजाहि नबील अमीन।